All right, so you guys wanted to go deep into something spooky. Well, buckle up, because this time we're diving headfirst into the Museo Nacional Centro de Arte Reina Sofia in the heart of Madrid. But forget Picasso and Dali for a sec. We're talking shadows, chills, and the kind of stories that make you sleep with the lights on.
And the Reina Sofia, let me tell you, it's practically built for those kinds of stories. It's not like just some museum. This place has been through it all. Hospital, prison, even a shelter for the poor and dying. Centuries of history, right there in the walls.
Okay, see, that's already giving me goosebumps. It's like, instead of paint, this building's got layers of, like, suffering and despair.
Yeah.
You know, all the good stuff for a haunting.
Exactly. You take that kind of history, add a few whispers of unexplained events, and bam, you've got yourself a recipe for some seriously creepy possibilities.
And trust me, this place delivers on the creepy. I mean, we've got staff reporting some seriously strange stuff. Like, picture this. Shadowy figures of nuns just gliding down the hallways, rosary beads clinking, and then, poof, gone, vanished, like smoke.
You know, it's interesting you mention the nuns, because that's a recurring thing in a lot of these stories. It makes you wonder, right? Are these just stories passed down, or is there something more, like something imprinted on the location itself?
Imprinted, like some kind of paranormal recording.
Right, think about it. Intense emotions, traumatic events, they leave a trace. And the Reina Sofia, well, it's seen its fair share of both, so it's possible, maybe even likely, that those traces are what's manifesting as these, let's call them phenomena.
Okay, that's both fascinating and a little bit terrifying all at the same time. But, phantom nuns aside, what other kinds of creepy encounters have people reported?
Oh, where do we even begin? We're talking disembodied voices, footsteps echoing in empty hallways, doors slamming shut for no reason. It's enough to make even the biggest skeptic a little uneasy.
Uneasy, maybe even a little intrigued. But speaking of uneasy, let's talk about the security guards. I hear they've seen some stuff, even with all those cameras watching.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking strange figures on the security footage, unexplained lights, even equipment malfunctioning in ways that defy logic. And then there's this one story about a guard who supposedly encountered a spirit with a Ouija board.
Hold up, a Ouija board. Okay, now we're officially in horror movie territory. So tell me more about this spirit. Who was it and what happened?
Well, the stories say this spirit, they called it Ada, claimed to be a former patient of the hospital that used to be there. And not just any patient. Ada specifically said they were dangerous, even a confessed murderer.
A murderous ghost haunting an art museum.
Hmm.
That's definitely nightmare fuel.
But hold on, you said this was all through a Ouija board, right? Those things are like an open invitation.
And step right through they did. Years later, a paranormal team goes to the museum and guess what? They contact Ada too and get this same claim, same story, even after all those years.
Wait, are you serious? The same spirit, years apart. That's not a coincidence. It's like this Ada is like tied to the museum or something. That's what's so fascinating about this. It's like there's a link between this Ada, this entity, and the very building itself, as if their energy, their story, it's woven into the walls along with everything else.
And we're just getting started on the everything else, right? Because before it was a museum, this building had a much creepier nickname, the Hospital of Terror.
Oh yeah, even back in the late 1800s, the place had a reputation. People were whispering about apparitions, weird noises, basically the same things they're talking about today. It's like these stories just echo through time.
This is seriously giving me chills. But what was it about this hospital that earned it such a creepy nickname in the first place?
Well, you gotta remember, back then, mental illness was like a complete mystery, often treated horribly. The hospital was where they sent the incurable, the dangerous. Imagine the despair, the suffering in those
I'm
walls.
saying all that negative energy, all that pain, it's soaked into the building itself.
It's possible, right? And it's not just the patients. We're talking a time when people died from stuff we can cure with a pill now. And get this. During renovations, they found a little something that really drives it home.
Okay, what? You're killing me with suspense here. All right, spill it. What'd they find during those renovations?
Bones, tons of them. Turns out the museum's practically sitting on a mass grave, all those people who died within those walls.
No wonder the place feels heavy. It's like all those lost lives are like seeping into the present.
And it's not just the number, it's how they died. Disease, poverty, some even during wars. Imagine the fear, the pain right before it leaves a mark.
So we've got a building full of suffering, practically vibrating with lost souls. And then you add in the recurring apparitions, like those nuns and their rosaries. It's like they're stuck, reliving their last moments.
Chilling, isn't it? Makes you think, are these spirits aware or just echoes, like a broken record?
And then there's Ada, our alleged murderer, who pops up through Ouija boards talk about taking it to another level. It's not just whispers anymore. It's like a dangerous presence reaching out.
It definitely adds a layer of, well, unease. Ada's consistency, those details about the hospital, makes you wonder if there's more to it. Like they're trying to communicate something, a piece of the puzzle we're missing.
Don't forget me. Don't forget what happened here. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes these stories stick with you. It makes it hard to just dismiss them. What if there are things we don't get,
And some things maybe we're not supposed to.
Speaking of which, there was that Lavinio, right? A spirit claiming to be a doctor who contacted investigators. What was that about?
Lavinio. Now that's a fascinating case. And detailed, which is what gets me. This wasn't just, I'm here. They actually gave historical information about the hospital. Stuff nobody knew before.
Seriously? Like what?
Stuff about the founding, early days, even the layout of rooms. And get this. When researchers checked, it matched up with old documents.
Yeah.
Dead on. Wait, hold on. So not just vibes, we're talking facts, dates, things nobody could have just guessed.
Exactly. Which begs the question, how could some entity outside our reality know that stuff? And why share it now? Through investigators.
Yeah, like they wanted their side of the story out there, their part in the history.
Maybe. Or maybe there's more to it, something hidden in those details that we haven't figured out yet.
Okay, now you're just messing with me. But we're not done, are we? Because there's one more story. The old man, who is this mysterious grandpa hanging out in the museum.
So imagine, it's super early, cleaning staff arrives at the Reina Sofia, they're doing their rounds, and there he is, an old guy, just chilling on a bench in the courtyard.
Okay, kind of creepy, but maybe he just got lost. Happened.
Not this time. This old man, multiple people saw him, same spot, always before sunrise, like clockwork.
Okay, now that's weird. But if it happened that much, someone must have gotten a closer look, right? Talk to him.
That's the thing, nobody ever saw him arrive or leave. Just appeared in the dark, gone by morning.
So, full-on ghost then, not just some art enthusiast grandpa. Part of the furniture, you might say.
You could say that. And his presence, just like everything else at the Reina Sofia, really makes you think. Like, this building holds secrets, stories it's been whispering for ages, just waiting for someone to listen.
So let me get this straight. We've got phantom nuns, a maybe murderous ghost, a doctor from beyond the grave dropping historical knowledge, and a disappearing grandpa in the courtyard. This museum's like a paranormal who's who. Everyone who ever had a bad day there came back for an encore.
It's quite the collection of stories, that's for sure. Makes you wonder, what is it about the Reina Sofia? Is it the building itself, the ground it's on, or something even weirder we haven't thought of?
Right, like it's picking up signals from the other side.
Yeah.
Gotta ask. Even I have limits. There's got to be some normal explanation for at least some of this, right?
Always got to have that skeptical eye, it's important. And you're right, some things, probably just old building stuff. Creaky pipes, weird drafts, sounds bouncing around. Easy to misinterpret when you're already spooked.
Like hearing whispers when it's just the wind through a busted window or whatever. Classic.
Exactly. Plus, you can't discount the power of suggestion. Place gets known as haunted, those stories get told and retold. People go in expecting to see something. Well, they just might.
So the museum's reputation becomes its own ghost story, basically.
Kinda, yeah. Our minds are powerful things. Sometimes we see what we want to see, or in this case, what we think we should be seeing.
All right, fair enough. But what about the harder stuff to explain? Like the security footage, clear as day, or Lavinio knowing things nobody should have? Hard to chalk those up to an overactive imagination.
That's the thing about the Reina Sofia. It's this weird mix of history, what we think we know, and then the stuff we just don't. Can't say for sure it's haunted, but man, so many questions that make you go,
And maybe that's part of the fun, right? The mystery, the what if. Reminds us we don't have all the answers, and that's all right.
Exactly. That's what keeps us looking, keeps us curious about the world, and maybe what's just a little bit beyond it.
So next time I'm at the Reina Sofia, maybe checking out a Picasso, I'll be sure to listen for those ghostly footsteps or the rosary beads. Adds a whole new layer to the experience.
It does, doesn't it? And hey, who knows? You might even see the old man enjoying the view.
And on that note, we're calling it a night here at the Museo Nacional Centro de Arte Reina Sofia, a place where art and history meet the unexplained, leaving us with more questions than answers. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows, and remember sometimes, the best stories are the ones we can't quite explain.